So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about creating an opt-in pop-up using some of the tools that are in BeaverBuilder as the base, and then a couple of add-on tools for it. Basically, pop-ups are a way to show information to a user. So you have a visitor that comes to your site, and you want to show them some information, but you don't want to take them away from the current page that they're on. You just want to do it kind of like an overlay on top of that. They're often used for email captures or displaying notices or whatever. You see them all the time on websites. The thing about these pop-ups is that they can be very annoying if they're done wrong, and people just get tired of them. But they can also be very helpful if they're done right. The interesting thing is, whether they are annoying or not annoying, they work. And that's why they're used everywhere, is they simply work. And some people will complain about them being annoying. Doesn't matter, because they simply work. Modals is the name. It's kind of the technical name. So as we're going through this, and if I'm talking about a modal, what a modal simply means is it's a pop-up. It's the technical term for it. It's referred to as modals in various different places, and that's why I continue to use that terminology for it. So the objective that we're after here is we want to create this sales page, and let's just say, for example, I've got a book that I want to sell, and I'm going to create this sales page. I want to offer people a free chapter of that book in case they go to check out and or leave and they haven't actually bought the book, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to review a chapter. So what that means is I have to have a way for these visitors to enter the email address. I have to be able to capture that email so I can send them their access to the book or the chapter of the book. The other thing ultimately that I would like to do is to nudge them a little bit. So let's say they're on the site and they say, I'm going to leave, and they go to leave without ever filling out the contact form or buying the book. I want to nudge them and put up a little notice and say, hey, are you sure you really want to leave? Here, I got this free chapter for you. So that's what we want to accomplish here. So what we're going to do in this is, using this foundation or setting all this foundation, is we're going to create a sales page. We're going to add a subscribe module to that page. We're going to configure it, and then we're going to take a look at things. Because what we're going to find out is, well, what I have there is cool, but that's not really what we want. And we want because the form, we don't want to clutter up the page with the actual form. So let's get into that example and see how it really looks. So we're going to create this page. We've got this page started. I've launched the page builder. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to grab a template. So to make things simple, I'm going to go up to landing pages, and here's my template that I want to use, the moon landing template. So I'll simply select that, and it creates my page. So cool. So now I've got my page created, and I'm not going to go through formatting and doing everything because that's not the purpose of this webinar. What we're going to do is look here, and let's say that right here in this area, right when they land here, I want them to have the option of putting in their email address. So I'm just simply going to come over here to add content, and I'm going to go to PowerPack modules. Some of you will have PowerPack modules, some of you might have UABB, but these are required in order to do some of the things that we're going to cover here today. So PowerPack modules, we drop that down, and I'm just simply going to go down and pick the module, which is the subscribe form. So take and drag that over and drop it in, and it's going to come up and ask to configure with all of the settings. So here I'm simply going to choose my service. I do Active Campaign. So when I bring up my service, it asks what account I want to use. I'm going to use my account here. And which list do I want to go to? Oops, I'm going to pick a list, and the list I want to use is my EntreTools list. And okay, so that's fine. The style that I might want to use, I might simply come down here and or look at my button here, excuse me. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to simply say, I think it already is full width. Okay, so, and then we'll save. So voila. So what we have now is my website, and I have an email form on there. However, you might look at this, and according to our objectives that we had, is while this e-form is here, I believe that that email form clutters up my site. So I really don't want it to sit right here. What I would rather have happen is that it displays, if I click a button, then it displays the form for me. So we're going to put this into a modal. And in order to do that, we have to do a little bit of setup on it. We have to create this modal. So the modal, again, is just the pop-ups. In order to create the modal, as I've explained before, you have to have some additional tools and some additional setup that goes with that. The tools I use within BeaverBuilder are either PowerPack for BeaverBuilder or UltimateAddons for BeaverBuilder. So you have to have one of those, and the actual specific setup that you go through is dependent somewhat upon the tool that you're using. But they're not extremely different. They're very close. So we'll be able to go through both of those here. Creating it is a simple process. First of all, what we're going to do is create a template that includes just your opt-in offer. So that's why we want, or what we're going to put in there in the template is just the opt-in offer. We're going to create it as a template so it can be used in multiple different places, including the modals. Then we're going to insert the modal module into the landing page and then go through and configure it. So let's go back to our site. If I go back to the admin area on my site, we'll have something over here called templates if it's been enabled on your site. And in templates, I'm simply going to do add new. So this is the same type of thing as creating a page or a post. I'm going to give it a title. So I'm going to say opt-in for moon travel book. And then I'm going to go ahead and launch my page builder. So now when the page builder comes up, remember what I said is I'm just simply going to add in an opt-in form on this or some type of offer. So what I'll do is I'm going to come down here and we're going to add in, I'll build this from scratch. We could use a template for it, but I'll just go ahead and do a quick build from scratch on this. We'll do a PowerPack module. I'll come down here. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to grab a subscribe form, drop it in. And then again, I will pick my service that I need. So do active campaign. Head. And for my button, simply put on some additional verbiage here. Get free chapter. Okay, so we have an opt-in form there. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add something else to this just real quick. I'm just going to go in and add a heading onto this. We'll do smart headings. Free moon landing chapter. We'll do secondary title, and then we'll come down here and we'll simply say, please let us know where to send it. All right, I'm not gonna get fancy on this. Okay, so there, that's our template that we want to use. I'm just going to say done and publish my changes. All right, now that that's published, I'm going to go back to our page here that we were working on. And what I'm going to do now that we have the template saved is I'm simply going to say add content. Go down in my PowerPack here. And again, UABB will have a very similar thing, but we'll go to the modal box and I'll drag the modal box and I'll just drop it in here. Once I've dropped that in, here's where I actually start to define what's going to go in the modal box and how it's going to behave. So the first thing I'm going to do is come down. I'm going to turn off the title on the modal box so it doesn't have a title. Then the next thing I'm going to say is, what is the type of content? So we're down here under general. We go to content. And we look for the type of content. And right here, I'm simply going to drop this down and go to saved templates. This is why we created a template, because as soon as I say it's a type of a saved template, now I get a drop down here under select template, and the template I'm going to pick is the opt-in for Moon Travel Book. So that now is the content that's actually going to be displayed within this modal. Now, there's a few other things I want to do here. I'm going to go to settings, and in settings, this is how you define when this pop-up or modal is going to appear. Under the trigger, I'm going to say auto, on click, on exit intent, or other. For my purposes, I'm going to say I want it to appear on a click. The type of click that I want to use is a button. I could do an image, I could do an icon, but I'm going to use a button. So I'll change the text for my button and I'll say get free chapter here. All right, and I want to format my button a little bit here. I'm just simply going to come down and say the width, I want it to be a full width button and I want it to be centered. And then we'll say save. So now you can see this here dialog was the opt-in form that we added. This button here was pre-existing on the form. We haven't done anything with this. This is the new modal button that we just added. And of course, you can apply any styling on it that you want. So let's go ahead and say done and publish these changes, and we can see what this is going to look like now. Let it finish publishing here. And here's our page. If I scroll down the page, you can see all the stuff on the page that we have set up, but the area that we've been playing with is right here. We can see the subscribe form that we added, the button that was previously on the page, and that's our new modal. And if I click the modal button, you can see it now pops up with my opt-in form. I can fill out my opt-in, my email address, and get free chapter, in which case it's going to go into my mailing list and opt people in and put me into a sequence, in which case I'll get my free chapter emailed back to me once you have that all set up. The user can simply hit either escape or the X over here, and they're back to the screen. They click it, and you get your modal. So now what I can do is I can simply go back to this page again and go ahead and edit it. And let's clean it up just a little bit more. Because obviously, if I'm looking at it, I now have the opt-in form. I no longer need this opt-in form because it's contained within this modal. So I'm going to delete that. And this button right here, which is but wait, get more, I'm going to go ahead and delete it for the purposes of our demonstration here. And now we have our modal. And that's all it takes. Now let's say that in addition to this, what I want to do is display this if the visitor wants to leave my site. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in another modal box. Because this modal box is triggered upon somebody clicking. I want another modal box, and we'll go down to our PowerPack modules again, and we'll go to a modal box. I'm going to just drag in and drop another modal box right here. I'll put it below the free chapter one. Alrighty. Actually, that was kind of unnecessary for me to do. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this because I don't want to go through all the setup and everything again. I'm going to cancel it. I'll show you an easier way to do this. I'm simply going to come here and click the toolbar up here and duplicate this. So now I've got two of those modals, but this one right here, I'm going to edit the second one. It's got my definition. It already has my template and everything defined. I'm simply going to go into settings. Under settings, I'm going to say I want this to appear on exit intent. So what this means is that if a person tries to leave the page and has not taken action, then this will appear. So I set it to exit intent, and I say how many days, what's the display frequency? So in other words, if they are shown this modal box once and they don't take any action, when is it going to be shown to them again? In this case, I'll show it to them the next day. If I set this to, I think, 0, I think it's every time. So we'll just set it to 0 for right now. And everything else is going to stay the same. And now I'll say save. And we'll see if this works. We'll go ahead and publish the changes. All right, so here we have our page. And we know that we have our free chapter here that I can click on, and it'll bring up our dialog box or opt-in form. And now I'm going to go up and I'm going to exit the page. So I'm going to take and go up here to close. And as soon as I go up to close, you'll notice that the dialog came up. Let me try this again. So every time I go to close, it's going to come up because I set that to 0 on the settings. The other thing you'll notice is this button brings up the exact same dialog, or my exit brings up the exact same opt-in form as the button did. You could very easily make these separate by simply creating a duplicate template. And on that duplicate template, you might put some other information like, wait, are you sure you want to leave? I've got this free book for you. Make sure you just get it now. Whatever you want to put in there. And do that. And then simply in the setup for this dialog, we'll create it. Actually, let's just go through here and do it real quick. And I'll show you this. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and we'll go to templates again. And here's the opt-in for Moon Travel Book. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, I'm going to go ahead and clone this. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and I'm going to edit this, give it a new name, and the name I'm going to give this is I'm just going to put a name on here and say exit intent. So it's clear to me what this specific opt-in is going to be used for. I'll save that, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch my page builder again. All right, so we're back to the template, but this time I'm editing the exit intent. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in a heading here, and we'll just simply say, wait, are you sure? Okay, so, oops, I'll just go ahead and make that centered. All right, so there we have, that's dropped in there, and we'll just say done, and we'll publish it. All right, so that's published. So now what I can do is I can go back to my moon travel here, and I'm going to go back to the builder. We'll edit the page, and we'll come down to this modal box. This modal box is the one that's the button. This one shows up different because this puts you the information. It says, hey, this is an exit intent modal box. So it just, for admin purposes, it shows you something here, but it won't actually show on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and edit that. And then what I'm going to do is under settings, oops, actually it's under content or general, and my saved templates. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the new template I just created, which is the exit intent template. And then we'll go ahead and save that. Question that came in was, with the exit intent module, can you just drag it and drop it anywhere on the page? And the answer is yes. It doesn't have to be anywhere specific. It can be right at the very top, just to demonstrate that. I put it here simply because I'm just trying to logically group it, but I could just as easily just drag this and put it anywhere I want to, maybe at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page, doesn't matter. All right, so that's done. So then we'll go done and publish changes. So here's my page. Now again, you'll notice that I don't have the exit intent. There's nothing here. Here's my click. And now if I go up to exit, you'll see the new one, which is, wait, are you sure? So this is a very simple way then to kind of leverage the same modal or the same type of form and everything. We just copied it to a new template, and now it has the new formatting and messages on it. All right. So hopefully that was simple enough there.